6 o'clock on the 17th of October. Call this meeting to order. Welcome, everyone. It's really good to see smiley faces out there. Thank you. We're going to have a great meeting tonight. We'll begin with our invocation and our pledges to allegiance.
Heavenly Father, we gather together here today intent on doing good work. We seek to represent fairly and well those who have given us this task. May our efforts be blessed with insight, guided by understanding and wisdom. We seek to serve with respect for all. May our personal faiths give us strength to act honestly and well in all matters before us. In your name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
Thank you, Richard. Okay, we'll begin with recognitions.
Tonight we have lots of wonderful recognitions, recognitions for the board and for our students and then for HR. So Jen, you may start.
All right, good evening, everyone. First, we will recognize our students of the month. Would Akia Rodriguez please come forward? Akia Rodriguez, a third grade student in Elm Creek Elementary, was chosen as the student of the month. Her educational journey at Elm Creek started when she returned to the campus in second grade after a hiatus following her pre-K experience. During her time away from school, Akia didn't have much interaction with others, and she also hadn't attended school regularly. However, to everyone's surprise, Akia was found to be quite close to being on par with her grade level. It turns out that Akia had taught herself to read by watching books on video, reading signs while riding in the car. Akia's dedication to learning is evidenced in her consistently excellent grades, as she has achieved straight A's. At home, Akia also plays a crucial role in keeping her father informed about school-related news by using sign language and teaching him how to use technology. This same spirit of helpfulness extends to the classroom, where Akia readily helps her peers. Elm Creek Elementary is fortunate to have Akia as part of its student body, and she truly embodies the spirit of an explorer. Congratulations. Would Yaneli Lopez Martinez please come forward? McNair Middle School is delighted to recognize Yaneli, an 8th grade student, as the student of the month. Yaneli is a multi-talented student athlete who has participated in cross-country, basketball, soccer, and was also named the overall Challenger Warrior last year. In addition to her athletic achievements, Yaneli excels academically, being part of the Gifted and Talented program, an honor student, and achieving a master's level score on the STAR. Yaneli serves as the class manager for Mr. Martinez's math class, providing invaluable assistance. For instance, when he was absent, Yaneli stepped up to help the substitute teacher manage the class. Yaneli is a true embodiment of what it means to be a challenger, both inside and outside of the classroom. Congratulations. Emily Gonzalez, please come forward. Southwest High School wants to recognize 10th grade student Emily as Student of the Month. Emily is the section leader for the award-winning Dragon Band and a member of the Dragon tennis team. She's in honors classes, maintains all A's in her courses, and participates in the book club. Emily plans to attend college after high school and pursue a career in either therapy or marketing. Emily is a true leader on campus. We're proud to call her a dragon. Congratulations.
Good smile. 1, 2, 3. 1 second. Wants to take a picture.
The parents of these wonderful young ladies, if y'all would please stand so we can recognize you also.
We also received some recognitions this year from MASBA. Southwest ISD achieved a remarkable feat at this year's Mexican American School Board Association Conference, securing 2 prestigious MASBA awards. Our Warrior program has been recognized as the outstanding cultural initiative for our commitment to diversity and inclusivity. Our dedicated school board members have earned the title of Outstanding District Board, a testament to their consistent dedication to advancing our mission daily. Congratulations. And now for Texas Education Human Resources Day. Governor Greg Abbott proclaimed October 11, 2023 as Texas Education Human Resources Day, a day set aside to recognize and honor the significant contributions made by school staff and human resources. Human resources staff work hard each day to make sure our schools are staffed with high quality employees and that those employees have a positive work environment. Thank you to our human resources staff for all that they do. We've been celebrating them all month. So again, thank you so much for everything that you all do. And now for our attendance awareness campaign. During the month of September, students and parents at all campuses throughout Southwest ISD participated in attendance awareness campaign led by Laura Garza and Adrian Ramirez. The purpose of the campaign was to raise awareness of the importance and benefits of daily school attendance. Classrooms with perfect attendance each week enjoyed a number of awards and celebrated their accomplishments. Individual students with perfect attendance were also awarded for their efforts. Students and parents even made pledges to make daily student attendance a top priority. As part of that campaign, all classes across the district were also invited to participate in the Southwest Challenge. Each day in September, if a classroom had perfect attendance, students were able to earn 1 letter towards spelling Southwest, which amounted to 9 days of perfect attendance for the month of September. At the end of the month, a total of 17 classrooms met this challenge. Attendance team members will present trophies to classrooms meeting this Southwest Challenge, those trophies that you see right there. I'm going to go ahead and read some of those classrooms. Elm Creek Elementary School had 3 classrooms. Hidden Cove STEAM Academy had 1 classroom. Creewald Rolled School of the Arts had 1 classroom. Sky Harbor. Sure. So we have Sky Harbor had 2 classrooms. Meadow Creek Elementary School had 1 classroom. Bob Hope Elementary School had 1. Indian Creek Elementary School had 1. McNair Middle School had 3 classrooms, and Scobie Middle School had 3 classrooms, and Resnick also had 1 classroom. Elementary, go ahead. Elementary, middle school, and high school campuses with the greatest percentage of student pledges will receive the traveling trophy for their win. In addition, parents with the greatest percentage of pledges submitted will win a trophy for their children's campus. Campus winners in this category will also be announced, but stay tuned to find out who our attendance awareness campaign winners are. So Mr. Ramirez and Laura will be making that announcement here shortly.
I'm going to put the trophies in the
Yes.
front so the trophies come out.
And smile. 1, 2, 3. Smile. 1, 2, 3.
There you go. Thank you. We have seen some great progress in our attendance. So thank you all principals and Mr. Ramirez and Ms. Garza. Thank you all so much because I really believe it's a hard work that the team has put in. Probably also all the incentives that the board approved. So thank you.
And then our final recognition of the evening is our TASB distinction. Southwest ISD recently received recognition during the TASB conference. We were awarded the Exhibit of School Architecture Stars of Distinction for the amazing renovations and additions at Southwest High School. And that does it for the recognitions.
Thank you. And on behalf of the board, especially students, what we do up here, we do it all for you guys, okay? Familias, thank you for what you do with our students, teachers and administrators. Thank you. This has been the most exciting part of the meeting. You're welcome to stay for another hour, hour and a half, okay? But at this time, I'll give you all about a 3-minute break. If you'd like to leave, you won't hurt our feelings, okay? Thank you. You can leave if you want. I normally say that too. I normally say that too.
See you guys here.
It's in the air, it's the wind.
Yeah, next one, can we bring
Yes, sir, that's it.
we'll do it next one.
Thank you. You can have that back.
In November.
Okay, I can get it back.
And, okay, moving right along. Consent agenda. Board members, consent agenda item 5A through L. You've had that before you. Is there anything you'd like to have pulled and discussed? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion.
I'll move.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion passes. Thank you. Items of information, construction update.
Yep, we'll probably be hearing from Thomas quite a bit for the next few months, but I know Thomas has some reports for us.
So just so everybody knows, the Southwest High School freezer cooler replacement that we started during the summer and had issues of materials getting here on time, it has been completed. Winston was actually able to start stocking that freezer last week. That was the one thing that was holding us up there. So it has been holding at negative 10 degrees. So it's everything's working there good. Central office, the new central office administration building. I guess everybody has seen all the orange flagging and spray paint everywhere. They're currently in the process of doing the survey of existing conditions and utility locations. They will be starting tomorrow doing the geotechnical boring, so we know what type of structural system we're going to need underneath the building and in the parking and paving areas. So that'll be going tomorrow. For those of y'all here on the main campus, if you see that drilling rig, it's going to kind of be all over in here around building 300. So that'll start tomorrow and probably last all the way through the end of the week. So from there, the one other thing that's got a lot of work going on right now is the turf projects. We are finished at softball with the rock layer, the nailer, everything that's done and ready to go, waiting on the turf to arrive. By Saturday, the Southwest baseball field will be in the same spot. They were starting to put the nailer on and starting to load in the final top layer of gravel there. So all the drainage system and everything is in. Turf is scheduled for delivery on October 20th. So that should be next week, Thursday, I believe, if I'm got the right date. For those two projects, both, we talked to Cruz Leon this morning, who's the superintendent. He said that he actually will have a crew on each field once the turf goes in. So he has an extra crew freeing up, so they'll have two going at once. We have just finished taking all of the top soil, the top 1.5 feet of soil off at Legacy, both baseball and softball. They're in the process right now of doing the chemical injections because of how bad the soils are over there. We're actually going to go down 7 feet and chemically inject the baseball field there. So they're in the process of that. He said it's going to be about 8 more days to finish that before they start doing the lime stabilization on top. The softball field has been moisture conditioned, and they are going to be starting the lime stabilization on top of that field probably next week. And then the turf is scheduled for The softball turf is scheduled for November 7th, and the baseball turf is scheduled for December 1st delivery at those two fields. So by the time the turf arrives, they should be in the same place with the rock being laid down and ready to go there. So still final completion of January 12th. I really think that it's going to be sooner than that based on the way things are going. I'm going to knock on some wood because I know everybody wants rain, but I don't want rain right now. I'm going to avoid that. So we got to at least finish the legacy rock, and then it can rain all at once. So outside of that, other projects that are going on. Crewald Elementary will be doing the visioning session this week, I believe on Thursday. Oh, it's tomorrow. So that's tomorrow midday. So some of y'all have been invited to come to that. And then still ongoing with the new elementary. We're going to get borings going out there so we know what kind of structure. Again, that's not good soils, so that is processing along. And then the last job was Bob Hope. I'm sorry, man. Bob Hope is, we actually met with the contractor to do the borings this morning. They'll be doing those next week out there at Bob Hope. And this coming month's brown bag, we will be bringing schematic design and recommendation for contractor on the Bob Hope project.
Thomas, can you just give a quick update in regards to what we talked about yesterday at the natatorium, and did
Oh,
that get
yes,
fixed?
So yesterday morning, we were graced with a joyful line break. We had a 3-inch water main break at the backside of the natatorium. So when the water comes into the natatorium, it splits in and goes in two directions. One direction goes in and services all of the restrooms, showers, and everything that handles the water inside the building. The other line goes around to the backside into the pump room that services specifically filling up the pool and the like when the water gets splashed out, it re-ups on, I can't think of the term.
Recirculate.
Yes,
Recirculate.
the pump room. And so it adds the water back in. So that line has broke. So yesterday we spent the day digging up that line, finding it, putting in a separate isolation valve so we could turn the water off to the pump room while we make that fix, but also get the water back on. So this afternoon, water was back on. That facility is functional again. We can still get the water makeup through hoses and stuff while we have to tear up the road and the sidewalk in the back of the building to get to the leak that's underneath the curb. So it's about 5 foot down, so it's going to be a pretty big, extensive hole. We're not sure what the cause was. I do believe that it was just from the ground shifting with the way things have been with the drought. So we believe that that's what it was. We have that problem a lot at McAuliffe with our irrigation lines, but it just happened to be this time it was the main 3-inch.
So non-warranty. Yeah.
No, sir.
Hmm.
I mean,
Yeah,
if we dig down in there and find that it was some type of
a
issue
connection
with,
that was
yeah,
bad
like
or
if one of the
something.
bells slipped off or something, that would
Okay.
be different. But I really feel like where it's at is in between the road and the sidewalk curb. And I think the road probably settled and then that sheared off that pipe down below. So we won't really know until we get down to it, but
Okay,
it's going to be kind of a major deal to dig all that out just to replace all the pavement that we just put down last year. So
thank you.
frustrating, but we're working through it.
Board members, any questions?
No.
Okay, thank you. Monthly tax report.
Yes, sir. We finished the year about 90.5, a little over 98%, so we're back on where we usually end up in the pretty good year.
Monthly financial report. Do you have anything to add on that, Brendan? Any questions? Monthly investment report. Board members, any questions? Anything?
I will say that we have $200 million to invest until we spend it, so the report is going to get a lot larger. That's our bond funds that we received, so
Okay,
that'll help us later on when we want to buy furniture for the new elementary. We'll make the interest off of that to pay for some of that.
gifts and bequests. Anyone have any, you didn't get yours, James? Okay, we'll look into that. Review of purchases over 50,000.
Oh, could we go back to the enrollment report?
Oh, I'm sorry, I did skip it. Enrollment report
I do, but
on page 89.
did you have something you were going to report? No.
This is coming up.
Oh, okay, got it, okay.
What is our current enrollment?
And the last one I checked, which I believe was Monday, was 13,174.
We are up.
Yes, we are. Okay. Now I can go to review purchases of over 50,000. Board members, stop me at any time with questions. Application for maximum class size exception for elementary schools. Who's reporting on that?
Mr. Ramirez.
Okay, that's it.
And typically at this time, you would have seen a waiver copy, you normally put that in for you, but the waiver is not open with TPA, as you know, they're still waiting on giving it accountability, and that's part of the criteria that we have to fill out in the waiver. But the waiver is due by November 1st. So we're here today to make sure that you are aware of anything that we have to do in the next week before November 1st to get that off the ground.
Good evening, board members, Dr. Ball, senior leaders. Our current District of Innovation plan provides our district the flexibility to cap our classrooms at 23-1. You know, previously it was 22-1. Our District of Innovation plan allows us to go to 23-1. Currently, we have 6 campuses that have classrooms that have exceeded that 23-1 ratio. So those classrooms, and that actually results in us having to submit a classroom size exemption waiver with TEA. Currently, the campuses that have exceeded the 23-1 ratio are Bob Hope Elementary, Elm Creek, Spicewood Park, Southwest Elementary, Hidden Cove, STEAM Academy, and Indian Creek. So we take a look at the number of students in classrooms. We monitor it weekly. We sometimes daily as well, because we want to make sure that we're actually staying on top of that and working with campus principals to look at all possible options prior to having to get to the point where we actually have to do a waiver for a class size exception. So just wanted to let you know that we are in that situation at 6 of our elementary campuses regarding classroom sizes.
And so that you know that this is, remember, pre-K through 4 only, because in older grades you can have a higher number of students. And that what we do for each of those classrooms is try to make sure that we keep families together instead of sending to different campuses. And then we look at when is the opportunity to pick up a new teacher. Right now, we might be able to mitigate some of these waivers because we do have student teachers. I think you had board notes on it last week. We have some student teachers in progress, and as soon as they get their certificates or alt-cert teachers, their long-term subs, once they have it, we'll be able to place them back as teachers of record, and then we won't have these numbers in some of these areas. What you'll see normally is the schools that are expanding and growing exponentially, those are the areas where you're going to see a high number of population of student growth in a specific grade level. It's not the entire school, it's like a second grade level or a bilingual classroom. So that's what we're really looking at, 1 or 2 classrooms per school that is exceeding that 23.
Questions?
Question.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Resilient Schools Support Program update.
Talila?
Yes, we do have an update. This is our yearly update from EdDirection, and Ms. Velia Terrazas will be presenting along with Sonia, who is online.
Good evening, Mr. Board President, board members, Dr. Vaughn, senior staff. As Delita mentioned, we are going to be providing the annual update for the RSSP grant program that we have been participating with under TEA. And so this is year 5 for us working with EdDirection under this grant, which resulted, yes. Right there. Which was a result of the support and the grants that TEA put out after COVID. And so as I mentioned before, we are in year 5. She is going to be joining me in the presentation and doing a recap of what we have, the work that we have conducted over the past year for 22-23. So like we've had different things that have come out as a result of this because of the progress that we make, and then we wind up finding different types of trends. And so that kind of changes the focus of our work. So for this one, we're going to summarize the approach that we took in this partnership, and we're going to identify some focus campuses and some target areas that we identified.
So in this section, what you will notice is that we established an RSSP cabinet. And again, RSSP stands for the Resilience School Support Program. We developed that for Southwest ISD, and then we systematically collected and analyzed data to inform our goals and supports for the duration of the 22-23 school year. In that program, we followed a similar structure for strategic planning for 23-24. And when that time comes, we will go ahead and go over that information. So you'll see here the visual that shows how we established a team to be able to make sure that we gathered stakeholder feedback from everyone. We determined some different options and we met with those groups. We identified some goals and some ways that we would be able to measure those goals. We looked at the data and we got different types of data from different sources that students took benchmarks, common assessments, some of the reading and math data that we have, including STAR. And then we developed some visions and some goals with these stakeholders. And then we created an implementation plan to move forward for the year. Moving on, during the data analysis stage of the process, what you'll see here is we collected and analyzed some student data. We got school leader data, teacher data through assessments. We identified some focus groups and some classroom observation data. This collaborative data analysis led to the comprehensive understanding of some trends and root causes that we were noticing, which shaped our goals and supports. So we had a real inclusive approach to making sure that the campuses were aware of the direction we were going in, as well as the teachers, and we were very selective in making sure that we included their voice in all of this planning. In addition to that, what we found is that we did make some significant academic gains in the 21-22 school year with those focus schools, which you'll see here. Indian Creek, McAuliffe, Hidden Cove, Resnick, as additional focus campuses that we expanded with into the 22-23 school year. We also identified that there was some strong teacher clarity implementation, which was a district initiative in grades K through 12 for the 21-22 school year. But we did identify that there was a little bit more work that needed to be done on some strategies, which included scaffolding, questioning, and feedback, which really goes back to what the teachers are doing within classroom instruction on a daily basis. We were able to identify that we also needed more support and clear expectations up front for leaders on implementation of the core instructional framework. And we really collaborated with other divisions to be able to make sure that we were all looking for the same things in going out and supporting those campuses. Some of the lessons that we learned over the past year and the data that we collected, that really helped to guide our work and be more prescriptive and strategic in how we are supporting those campuses to be able to ensure that we improve the outcomes for our students. And so through this work, we identified a core instructional framework, which is a lot of the training that our teachers have received at new teacher training, beginning of the year training, and then we continue to do that throughout the year during our district professional development days and our campus development days. We also have some principal AP coaching that our leaders are going through. And then we also have classroom walkthroughs, again, that we have collaborated across other divisions with to make sure that we're all having the same message and make sure that we're all looking for the same things as we're going through those classroom walkthroughs. And so identifying what those really strategic and prescriptive focuses were is we identified some priorities. We also brought in some strategies. You'll sometimes tend to hear the word RBs. Research-based instructional strategies is really what we're focusing on with our teachers through that core instructional framework. So what does teaching and really good teaching look like in Southwest ISD? Again, we identified and prioritized some content areas, specifically in English language arts, reading, and math. We identified some focus grade levels, which were 3rd, 5th, 6th, and 8th, or 3rd through 5th, 6th, and 8th. And then again, we identified some focus campuses, which were Hidden Cove, Indian Creek, Resnick, McAuliffe, and then some special populations, which included special ed. I'm just waiting. And so here you'll see again a recap of the goals and the supports and the progress that we made over the 22-23 school year. The one thing that I will note on here is that we could not assess the progress towards 100% of our focus school goals due to the late release of the STAR results. So that information can definitely be provided at a later date once we do get that information. but we were able to assist the progress for K through third grade students, data using our M-Class information, and then all these are the percentages that were at or above benchmark on M-Class. So again, once we get those final results, we will be able to provide a more thorough progress update on that.
If I could also ask Dalila to share a little bit in regards to the walkthroughs and how many they have to do in the yellow, green, and red, so the board could also hear that.
Yes. So we have a goal that each campus administrator conducts 10 walkthroughs a week. And so along with AHR, we have two different components that we're looking at, which is still based on the TIA, the teacher incentive allotment. The teachers need to be performing at a certain level. And at the same time, we're looking at very specific skills while we're conducting the walkthroughs. But we are acknowledging our campus principals with a red flag if there wasn't any walkthroughs that were conducted, yellow flag if you almost met the goal, and then a green star will pop out on their email if they completed their 10 walkthroughs. So we do applaud the work of our administrators, because along with everything else that they have to handle, we definitely keep academics at the forefront.
And so looking again at recap of the goals, you should have this, I believe it should be in your board book. If not, it can be provided, but we did submit this, but it goes more into detail as far as every specific school with the specific grade levels, with the actual percentages at the benchmark, and then at the current STAR information that we have, because we are pending the 22-23 STAR results. And at this time, I'm going to go ahead and hand it over to Sonia, which is co-presenting with me, and we've Zoomed her in virtually. Sonia, can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Wonderful. Hello. Good evening, everyone. My name is Sonia Soltani, and I'm an improvement specialist with EdDirection MGT. I've had the great pleasure of working with Southwest ISD for the last year and a half. I'm going to go ahead and resume our presentation by sharing some data that came as a result of our work last year. What you're seeing on this slide is school year 2022-2023 district common assessments from 3rd to 5th grade across Hidden Cove in the first 3 rows and Indian Creek Elementary in the bottom 3 rows. Each of these campuses had goals for their general education population as well as their special education subpopulation. As you can see across each of the schools, we've divided up the goals by content area. So 3rd grade math is listed in that first column, and you can see that 3rd grade math in both general education and special education have met their goals. And that goal again is listed up there in the top right corner in the green box. You can continue reading this data by moving to the right. So 3rd grade reading is next. They met their goal in reading for general education. They did not meet the goal in special education yet. So on and so forth, 4th grade math, 4th grade reading, 5th grade math, 5th grade reading. And then you'll see the same pattern down below with Indian Creek Elementary. I won't read all of these to you. I think that this table here gives you a nice visual of how many grade levels and schools have reached their goals and how many still have some area to grow in. I'll give you about a minute or so to just look this data over, about a half a minute or so. Go ahead and go back to that previous slide for me. Thank you. All right, take about 20, 30 seconds to look this over and then we'll move ahead. All right, a lot to celebrate here and a lot of things that we also know we want to continue working on. If we move ahead to the middle schools, at the top, we're looking at the McAuliffe Rockets, and on the bottom, we're looking at Judith A. Resnick Jets. Same pattern here. This time, though, we're looking at 6th grade math, 6th grade reading, 8th grade math, and 8th grade reading. Go ahead and take another 30 seconds or so to look at the data that's represented on these tables. Okay, so I know that's really quick, it's kind of a hot flash in the pan. Don't worry, you'll have a chance to look this over in more detail after the presentation is over. I'll send this presentation out to district leaders so that if you'd like to review some of this data with a more fine-tooth comb, you're welcome to do that. I'll also mention that while this in the school year 2022-2023, we were working with these 4 focus campuses, McAuliffe, Resnick, Hidden Cove, and Indian Creek. This year, we've made a shift towards our lower elementary bands on a couple of campuses. You'll see that shift here in just a minute. So given this data, our RSSP cabinet came together and began reflecting on what went well throughout the year in our RSSP partnership and what were some areas for some growth that we can implement in year 4. Thank you. These were some of the reflections that teammates on the RSSP cabinet produced during the end of year data analysis that we engaged in. What you can see here is that a lot of the bright spots centered around the increase in fidelity with regard to the use of opportunities to respond. Your core instructional framework at Southwest ISD has been really our pivot point in all the work that we've been doing in partnership with the district. So using that core instructional framework and specifically opportunities to respond is improving on those campuses that we just looked at. Additionally, academic progress in 5th grade, if we were to go back, you don't need to do it right now, but if we were to go back and look at some of those data slides, you'll see 5th grade, especially at Hidden Cove and Indian Creek, has really done a great job of meeting those goals in the last year. All of this is to say that our regular quarterly data analysis meetings have helped us to generate ideas about the different barriers and solutions for each of the campuses. Speaking of barriers and solutions, let's talk a little bit about what's here in the yellow box and the teal box about opportunities and lessons learned. At the end of the year, we looked at the data, both implementation data as well as student outcomes data, and said, hey, what are some things, some strategies that we want to focus on in the upcoming year, given the implementation this year? Small group instruction was one of the very top contenders, along with teacher clarity. So we use some of those data outcomes to say small group instruction and teacher clarity should be our #1 priorities in school year 2023-2024. In the teal box, you'll see some of the lessons learned that various school and district representatives provided during our data analysis session. A lot of these lessons learned already reflect some of the things that Velia has shared with you in this presentation. You can move to the next slide, please.
There we go.
Perfect. Thank you. So this year, let's kind of talk about how did we close out last year and what are we doing this year? At the end of last year, we made the decision to focus on 2 strategies from the core instructional framework. Again, that's small group instruction and teacher clarity. And we want to do these through the lens of research-based instructional strategies that have been provided by the Texas Education Agency. The RBs is our acronym for research-based instructional strategies, not a restaurant. The RBs are a key component of the Strong Foundations grant that Southwest received. And the district is committed to implementing the RB strategies to improve student outcomes. After we looked at that end of year data, we determined that our focus this year should be in supporting kindergarten, 1st grade, and 2nd grade students and teachers at elementary schools that demonstrate the greatest need for improvement. We'll talk a little bit about that in a minute. The district, you should know, has many structures in place that we can continue to build upon and strengthen in terms of teacher implementation of these research-based instructional strategies. So the district has really made a dedicated effort to build the capacity of school and instructional leaders and teachers through both coaching and professional development on top of our regular classroom walkthroughs and data collection. So you can see that some of our key levers for impact this school year are the RBs through the lens of the core instructional framework, professional development. You can stay there, that's fine. Professional development and coaching. Moving right ahead into our goals and measures for this year, everything that we have done up until this point has led us to the creation of this really powerful Southwest ISD instructional framework when it comes to RLA. I won't read all of these words on the slide to you, but what I will tell you is that we created this literacy framework theory of action that says, and it indicates our intention to train, empower, and coach early elementary teachers and leaders to implement early literacy strategies as part of the core instructional framework. This is going to really lay a foundation for a stronger literacy experience for our little kiddos in K-2. We're going to be using NWEA MAP this year to assess that progress. Okay, so this slide here just shows you that we work collaboratively with district and school leaders to find coherence across your different priorities in your district. So you have the core instructional framework, which is one thing we're using as a pivot point and really folding into every level of our work. You're also doing great work through reading academies and strong foundations. So this slide is merely to show you that we have created some strong synergistic relationships and processes that reinforce some of the work being done through reading academies and strong foundations. Next slide, please. Okay, deep breath. What's our new set of focus areas and goals for school year 23-24? Our priority right now is supporting teaching and learning in foundational skills. So that's phonics, phonemic awareness, and we're also folding in small group instruction from the core instructional framework. Our grades, as I mentioned, are kindergarten through second grade, but this year we're zooming into different focus campuses. We're still doing Hidden Cove, STEAM Academy, Indian Creek. We're adding in Spicewood Park Elementary based off of the data that we looked at the end of last year. Our student subpopulation is special education students, so we'll be monitoring their outcomes throughout the year as well. Our wildly important goal this year, this is our year-long goal that we're hoping for by the end of the year, is kindergarten through second grade students that are at the 60th percentile or above on NWEA MAP will increase by 20 percentage points from the beginning of year to end of year. That includes our subpopulation of special education. At the midpoint of this year, though, we're hoping that students at the 60th percentile or above will increase by 10 percentage points. So middle of year, 10 percentage points, end of year, 20 percentage points. And you can see that there's a real clear pathway to get there if you look through some of these capacity and fidelity goals that we have listed on the bottom of the slide. These are simply goals that provide us with the means and the tools necessary to see these goals come to life and help us reach those student outcomes. Next slide. Thank you. So how did we do this? This year, we followed a very similar process as we did last year. We thought about what are the resources and activities that we want to input, right? So what kind of materials, time, agreements, technology, professional learning opportunities, or frameworks do we want to be using this year in order to lead to our output, right? And our outcomes. Our outcomes being those big major goals that we just saw on the previous slide. These next two slides that you're about to see are somewhat more of a formal process when it comes to creating wildly important goals and kind of backwards planning the year that way. The way we did this is we said, hey, if this is our end of year student goal, what do we need to do to build the capacity and knowledge and skill set of our teachers and our students? Those are our capacity goals. And what kind of evidence are we going to see that practices are actually improving over time? Those are our fidelity goals. And so this is the process. What you're seeing on this slide is how we came up with these goals and how we're going to measure them throughout the year. Next slide, please. You're seeing the same thing here, except this time, instead of capacity and fidelity goals, we're looking at student outcomes and our prioritized student subgroup, which for Southwest ISD is special education. Next slide. Okay, so whoever is, oh, you could pause right there. Thank you. Whoever is my friend and is clicking the next button, you're going to find that there are a lot of pictures that are going to start zooming in. As I'm talking, I'll tell you, you can just click next, okay? So what are some of the things we've done so far at Direction in partnership with Southwest ISD? So far this year, since school has started, we led a new teacher professional development session. Go ahead and click just a few times there. We talked about Resilient School Support Program. We did some visioning for the school year. We gave an introduction to the CIS. And then we really started deep diving into both teacher clarity as well as small group instruction. There's a picture or two for you to see how that professional development session went. Next up, so that was for new teachers. We also led a PD on the same content for all teachers and really dug deeper. So go ahead and click ahead a few times. We also went over the core instructional framework. We also did a deep dive into small group and teacher clarity, and teachers were left with some really valuable work time at the end there to implement these strategies effectively in their instruction and their lesson plans. Finally, in terms of PDs, we led an early K-2 literacy cohort launch with teachers. We talked about our priorities and goals with RSSP. We talked a little bit about foundational skills, that's the RBs, and we went over what support they're going to receive throughout the year. All right, now you can go ahead and click ahead through, oh, there's that beautiful picture from Convocation. Go ahead and click through the next several so we can see it ahead here. We did also create this, We also created this literacy framework, which is the same one that I showed you on a previous slide. That was part of our early literacy cohort launch. We did the same launch with principals to make sure that all stakeholders were on board and ready to hit the ground running with these goals. Next, please. We created a walkthrough tool that aligns with the strategies we've selected for the year. And finally, we came on site and did some collaborative cabinet learning walks. So most recently, I was at Spicewood Park Elementary, go Panthers. We also went and visited Hidden Cove STEAM Academy, as well as Indian Creek Elementary. So we led those PDs at the front end, and then we said, hey, how's it going in classrooms? Let's go in and check. We took some of that data from the walkthroughs and then started to adjust our actions so that we can help teachers and students succeed. There's a few adorable pictures from some of the learning walks we did there at Spicewood Park Elementary. I know that was a whole lot of information, and we covered 2 years worth of good work being done by many of the school and district leaders there at Southwest ISD. I'll reserve the next couple of minutes for any questions you might have for myself or Velia.
What is the common assessment? Is that a test that the kids took? Is that their STAR scores? What is the common?
So we have it's the common based assessment, and those are the ones that are internally created, and the students take before the end of the 9 weeks. And so we measure whatever was taught within that 9 weeks or within the 6 weeks.
Okay. And so the slides that had all the red on it.
So we had some specific goals that the campuses had to meet. And so that particular goal that we had established before we even launched the work, those goals were not met. So then we came back and we had a conversation. And so this is where the campuses, we're still continuing that work with those campuses. And so that was pretty much what the red meant.
And then this common assessment, it's a test, right? Is that based on the STAR test goals or what?
Those questions are created internally for each content coordinator creates for ELAR, math, science, social studies.
Right.
And they are using based on the STEM questions that come from the state. But we create those assessments here internally based on whatever was taught within the 6 weeks. So this is we're assessing the students to make sure that they are learning along the way before the STAR test comes around.
Okay. And so since there was so much red, I mean, there was a lot of red at the middle school. I didn't quite see I didn't see a lot of green, just to be honest, on the elementary or the middle school. So we went back and then we looked at what the kids missed,
So we were,
what are we doing?
Yeah, so we were strategic with, these are the campuses that have some struggling populations. And so we wanted to come back and just reinforce the assistance for these campuses. So we did some wraparound work with planning with the very specific content areas. And this way we supported the teachers with very specific planning. And so right now, like for example, with special ed, working also with Aubrey, we're looking at a very specific program for special ed that we can come back and reinforce that tier 1 instruction without watering it down, just because, of the needs that might, be present, but we still want to come back and reinforce that learning.
And so how did this compare to the STAR scores? Like, how did, I don't know,
Yeah,
just
so
sixth
even by
grade?
looking at our current data, so we will look at, for example, for this, we're looking at domain 3, which is another piece of accountability. And so for special ed, it would say, no, we did not meet the target. So for the state, we have to be at 60% for that specific measure for reading, for math. And so here we're looking at increases per assessment group. And so this is where we did not find increases internally with our assessments. And so that same data correlates that we need to continue to be providing support for our campuses.
So then the sixth graders at, just because McAuliffe is up there, the sixth grade STAR score at McAuliffe they didn't receive a good.
Can I
No, go
speak
ahead.
a little? So these are not directly correlated to our STAR scores. Those final STAR scores are not in yet.
Okay.
But what these were the internal goals that the
CDs.
campuses developed. And remember how I said how we brought the leaders in and the teachers and other academic support staff, and we said, what type of goals do you want to set for your campus as RSSP, as EdDirection supports you in helping you to reach your goals? And so these were internal goals that they set as far as trying to make progress. So they all set goals for math, for reading in those different 6th, 8th grade levels. Now, did they meet their internal goals? This is what this reflects, that no, they did not. Now, once STAR scores come in, that is something that we can use to compare to see what these measures were compared to those final STAR scores.
So I think it would be more helpful next time if instead of just saying no, like what was their goal and was their goal 60% and they did 52? Because then that would be a little more,
A clear picture with.
I mean, this is a bad picture. I mean, I'll just be honest with you. When you look at that, that's bad. So I don't see, I mean, I do see that Resnick did, and it's, well, I mean, I don't see the screen anymore, but,
Oh, I'm sorry.
I
was going to try to bring up their.
yeah. So maybe
Their
next time you
Or what
present,
they perform, their goal and what their. current
yeah,
performance
let's
is.
see what their goal was and then how they did so that it's not just a big red no.
Approaching it or-
So we're gonna keep EdDirection so that they can continue giving the support, but are the goals gonna change? Or are they gonna be enhanced or depending on, or are we gonna wait until the scores come in?
So right now we are waiting for our scores and then we come back and calibrate with EdDirection. With EdDirection, it is a grant that we would have to come back and apply again. So EdDirection has been supporting the work since 5 years ago. And so this is every year based on data. So this is based on common assessments, but every year we look at a very specific subset, MAPS assessment or whatever assessment we want to look at. And then based on that, we calibrate and we coordinate also with the campus principals, just like Relia mentioned. So like that, we're all together on the goal. Then with EdDirection comes in and provides support at the campus level.
Does EdDirection have someone for every campus or it's one person providing support for the entire district? How does that work?
So EdDirection has a team that works with, let's say, McAuliffe and Resnick at this point, and then there's also a team that comes in from EdDirection that works with HINCO. So they have specialties like Sonia, her specialty is the early grades. And then we had another gentleman that we came and worked directly with McAuliffe. At one point we had McNair that was part of this work, but now we're only focusing on McAuliffe and Resnick.
That's right. I'll just jump in here, team, and I'll add that because Southwest ISD has been engaged in other grant initiatives like Strong Foundations as well, we have many, many members of our team that are all working collaboratively to help all teachers and all students at Southwest ISD achieve these goals. What I will say is these district common assessments are not apples to apples. So I wouldn't say, look at these assessment results and then, think about it in the same way that you would about STAR assessment results. However, this year we're making the shift to NWEA MAP. And to your question about the way that the data is represented, certainly using NWEA MAP, we're going to have a more refined view at that data so that we can really get detailed about, which grades, which campuses, which content areas need the most support. And then we can kind of zoom that support in specifically for those teachers and campuses.
And one of the things I heard is one of the things that came out of this is we're focusing more on K through 2. And I think that's a good thing.
Yes.
And will we be getting, well, I guess while focusing for K through 2, we'll see better results as the year goes by with the upper
So we had
grades.
the opportunity to come back and reset our goals. And so that doesn't mean that the work with McCullough and Resnick stops. We still continue to support them. And even McNair has them coming in for some other work. But now we're going to come back and do some very different type of work, but now in the early grades.
Any other questions? Comments? No? Thank you.
Thank you, Sonia.
Thank you, Sonia.
Thank you.
Thank you. Take care.
Okay, that puts us to item J, which we'll come back to after closed session. K, the Emergent Educator Award.
Yes, and Dr. Reese is going to present this information, and we know that we have some fantastic teachers in our district, specifically a lot of great new teachers that are just starting their career as teachers, and we want to develop a way to also recognize them. So the team has been working on how do we highlight and not only recognize our veteran teachers that have multiple years of experience, but our new teachers. So I'll turn it over to you. Thank you.
Good evening, board members, Dr. Ball, and senior staff. As Dr. Ball mentioned, I will be talking about our Emerging Educator Award. So a little bit of the background on this award. This award is specifically for new teachers who are in their first 12 months of teaching with SWISD. It will allow us to build motivation for our teachers and to recognize their professionalism, their character, and their performance in the classrooms. This award will parallel our Teacher of the Year process, which does take place in the fall. So this program will take place in the spring. Here's a list of some of the eligibility criteria, and I'll just touch on a few. The candidates must be employed with the district for the current school year. They must have principal's approval, and they must be fully certified. And I'll give you a couple of seconds to look over the rest. So for the nominations, any person can nominate another person for consideration for this award. The campuses will have a selection process and then move forward with presenting one nominee to be their campus representative. And following that, during the application process, the candidates will be given a short answer application to apply once they are selected by their campus. And 2 individuals will be named for the Emerging Educator Award, one for secondary and one teacher for secondary and one teacher for elementary. Each campus educator, emerging educator, will be recognized at the April school board meeting. They will receive the two educator awards will be receiving $500. The remaining 4 finalists will receive $250, and the rest of the nominees will receive $100. And each educator, emerging educator, will also be recognized at the employee banquet at the end of the school year. This is going to show you the timeline. As mentioned, it will be a spring process, so we'll do a call for nominations beginning in January. We will close those nominations in February, so we're giving campus administration almost a month to make the selection process. Once that's done, we'll open the application process on February 6th, giving the nominees close to a month as well to fill out the applications. Once they fill out the applications, we'll conduct an internal review. And much like the Teacher of the Year process, we choose 3 internal reviewers to review the applications. Once that's done and it's scored on a rubric, we grab the top 6, show the top 6 scores. So you have top 3 elementary and top 3 secondary. And then they'll be brought in for face-to-face interviews from an external panel. And after speaking with Dr. Ball, this external panel will be individuals who don't work for the district but do have an education background. And then once that's done, the winners will be announced in April. Are there any questions?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bilingual ESL program evaluation.
Yes, we have both Velia and Israel that will be presenting information on this.
Good evening again. As Dr. Bo mentioned, we're going to be doing the required annual bilingual ESL program update that's required under Chapter 89. We have to report out an annual evaluation, including information that is specific to the number of students that we have identified as emergent bilingual students. So if you'll notice here, we do have a total of 11 elementary schools, 4 middle schools, 3 high schools. 11 of those do participate in the dual language programs. We have 9 elementary and 2 specifically at middle school. We have 2 who are just primarily ESL. So a total of 18 ESL programs. We do offer ESL pullout and content based at all of our campuses. And you'll notice here the total number of identified emergent bilingual students for the 22-23 school year is 2,697. We have 1,314 students at elementary, 653 students at middle school, and 680 at high school. So that would put us at 19% of our enrollment population as identified as emergent bilinguals. In addition to that, you'll notice here the percentage, as I just mentioned before, specifically by campus. Bob Hope with 39%, 32%, and so forth. As I mentioned before, we have 2 elementary campuses that do not have dual language programs because of the very small numbers, and those are at the very bottom, which are Spicewood Park Elementary and Crewald Elementary as well. Again, and you have the 19% that is represented for the total enrollment in the district.
Questions?
Questions on that screen? No? In addition to that, well, we have to report out the academic progress and the proficiency of the emergent bilingual students. And so you'll notice them here by percentage and by grade level of which students are still at the beginner stage, the intermediate stage, advanced and advanced high stage when we talk about the proficiency of language acquisition. And so looking at domain 3 in closing the gaps for the 2023 school year, as we mentioned before, that TEA has postponed the release of those results yet, so we don't have those as of right now. We do have a new TELPAS progress measure that was due to the changes in the TELPAS test. And then looking at the domain 3, English language proficiency, which again goes back to the beginner, intermediate, advanced, and advanced high for listening, speaking, reading, and writing. We're allowed 0 to 4 points for growth, 10% domain, number 3 total. And again, we will have a better picture of that progress once those results are released.
And so one of the program evaluation pieces, buenas tardes todos. One of the program evaluation pieces is about the professional development that we provide teachers, students, parents, paraprofessionals, all the way up to the superintendent, right? And so last year we had 1,311 participants. This is from August through July of last year. The professional development types that we had were English language development, planning, instructional strategies, LPAC framework, teaching for biliteracy and ESL methodologies, second language acquisition, STAR TELPAS assessment, understanding and implementing the TEKS and ELPS, alignment of curriculum to instructional programs, and of course, certification for ESL. And so this is pretty much the types of trainings, professional development that we provide throughout the year. And again, we try to involve all stakeholders from students all the way up, like I said, to the superintendent. So we had 1,311 last year. One of the other program evaluation reports is about the bilingual exceptions or ESL waivers. Bilingual exception is when we have a teacher that may not be certified in bilingual. Last year, we were very lucky to not have to file a waiver for a bilingual teacher, any bilingual teacher or ESL teacher. So last year, as far as us reporting out, we had no bilingual exceptions or ESL waivers. So the second thing is how many teachers met the exception of the waiver this year? Well, none, because we didn't file for one. So we were very lucky last year that we did not, working with HR and of course our leadership to make sure that we're hiring qualified staff. We were very lucky not to have to file a waiver or an exception. And that's pretty much it in a nutshell. Questions about bilingual programs, program evaluation?
Just out of curiosity,
Yes, sir.
are we dealing with more than one second language or just
Very good that you
Español.
asked that. So this year, what we found, of course, the predominant language here in Southwest ISD is Spanish, but this year with all of the construction, with all of the growth of our district, we're finding other languages now. So it is something that we're working on because normally we had within maybe 5 to 7 languages. This past year, we found that we have 11 different languages now that we serve, again, mostly predominantly Spanish speaking. But we have
Right.
Swahili, Punjabi, Farsi, other ones that we hadn't had in the past.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Thank you. Okay. Item 7A, consider approval to submit 23-24 application for the bilingual education exception and English as a second language waiver.
So I'm gonna go ahead and present on that one. So as you heard, Mr. Gonzalez state, last year, we had some campuses that were missing bilingual teachers, and we were able to find teachers with bilingual certifications that volunteered to move to campuses and fulfill that role. We did not have to do that last year. This year, we are growing exponentially, especially in the bilingual department. You see the numbers are growing, or we're getting larger and larger percentages of that. So this year, we will have to do a bilingual waiver, a bilingual exception and an ESL waiver to make sure that we acknowledge the fact that we do not currently have certified people sitting in those chairs. For bilingual education, it is a certification that they would have. We do have some student teachers getting their current bilingual certification, so we're hoping that they pass their test and they're able to join our team, and therefore we may not have to have that for the entire year for these students. But Israel and his team will have a plan that those students that do not have a certified bilingual or ESL teacher will have the services of language that they need on the campus, even though that they're being serviced by somebody else. In addition to that, we would typically have the waiver for you, but TEA has not opened the waivers. So we do not have that for you. But what I would tell you is it's probably going to affect for bilingual 4 different campuses at this point. And that number is still growing. So as numbers climb, we'll be able to tell you more. And it really affects about 17 classrooms for ESL. And so for ESL, the selected content is ELAR. And as we've lost ELAR teachers, Israel and his team are doing classes so they can get their ESL certification as a supplemental. And so we will be working with them to ensure that those teachers get stipend to be able to do that and be able to provide those services in their regular English classes. So we're working as a team to build that. Right now, we would just like the board's permission that once the waiver and the exception opens, that we're allowed to submit for that, because it will be due November 1st.
So are we offering incentive to any of the teachers to get the certification, or?
We do pay for them to get the ESL certification.
No, I know. And then you said it comes with a stipend?
It does. So that stipend covers not only for them to take the test, because you pay for the test, and to put it on your certificate, because we don't pay for it to be on your certificate. It's enough to say, hey, we know you took days to learn it and days to put it on, days to take the test. So it's a nice stipend for that.
Okay.
We have a recommendation from staff that the board approve the submission of the 23-24 application for bilingual and ESL exception for schools.
A second.
We have a motion, a second. Any other questions? Hearing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion passes. Thank you.
Ms. Bartones also has the next one.
I'm actually going to bring Adrian up because he is our lead in our District of Innovation plan. And so you have formally already approved the plan. So today we're coming to you with an amendment. And this amendment will kind of help us with making sure that we can have some flexibility when we look at staffing.
So in the summer of 2022, we renewed our District of Innovation plan. And our current plan actually outlines certain requirements that are imposed by the education code from which we were seeking exemptions. One of those exemptions deals with teacher certifications, specifically in the area of CTE and dual credit. And so realizing that our district could also benefit from adding some additional areas of certification areas, we are seeking to amend our current plan, our current innovation plan. And so Southwest ISD will still continue to seek traditionally certified candidates for all teaching positions, but for certain vacancies in specific settings, still including CTE and dual credit, but also including librarians, hard to fill core content areas, campus administrators, and advanced academics, where a traditionally certified and qualified candidate is not identified, the district would have the flexibility to actually hire a qualified individual with the appropriate experience and qualifications and knowledge in those particular areas. So the amendment that we've included as part of, so the information that we've included as part of this amendment also kind of outlines some additional considerations that we've listed, and those can be found on page 4 of the amendment part of the innovation plan. And those include actually giving candidates or giving individuals 3 years to actually obtain the appropriate certification, traditional certification, and actually show yearly progress in their teacher preparation programs. We also included, as part of this amendment, the flexibility to actually hire out-of-state certified instructors as well, and allow them with that out-of-state certification in those specific areas to also be hired. In addition, we also have the flexibility through this amendment to also have teachers teach within the same content area, but outside their grade level. For example, a teacher certified in EC through 4 would be able to teach 5th grade. A teacher certified in EC through 6 would be allowed to teach 7th and 8th. And then a teacher certified in ELAR 4 through 8 would be able to teach high school ELAR 9th through 12th. So as part of the amendment that we are seeking, we've included those considerations as well. So at this time, what we are asking is that the board approve the Southwest ISD District of Innovation Plan amendment regarding teacher certification.
Questions, board members? I'll entertain the motion.
I move.
We have a motion, a second, the board approve the Southwest ISD District of Innovation Plan amendment regarding teacher certification. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. Thank you. Okay. Item 8A, consider nominations for TASB Board of Directors. Board, there are 2 vacancies for Region 20 on the TASB Board of Directors. One was created when Relinda became president-elect. So when she becomes president-elect, there's a vacancy created because she's now considered executive team member. And then another because Robert from Schertz-Cibolo University stepped down because he's running for mayor or councilman. Schertz, one of the two. So what this does is if we nominate somebody, they'll be interviewed in December. They'll serve as a TASB director from December through September of next year, at which time those 2 vacancies, those 2 people can run for the position. And that's another process, which we'll explain at a later time and date. But we've had some history here. There was a gentleman before me that was a TASB Board of Director, and then myself. So I think we would like to nominate someone for the interview process.
I nominate our very own Florinda Bernal.
Nice.
We have a nomination of Florinda Bernal and a second by Daniel. Florinda, do you accept?
Yes, I do accept.
Florinda accepts. Board members, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Thank you. We will get you a copy of the application and you'll fill it out and we'll talk about the interview process.
Do we campaign for her or what?
No, this is going to be totally by interview, and the interview committee will select 2 people. Okay. I doubt she won't be getting it, but if it happened, then we'll campaign next year when those 2 spots become open for general.
No pressure,
Okay.
right? It's like.
Now, the lady that vacated, was that the one from Kerrville?
Yes, Rolinda Schmidt. Yeah, she ran against me one year.
It's open to all Region 20, so I'm assuming there will be
I've-
several applicants.
Yes. Okay, consider update to authorize signature page for PNC Bank.
Yes, we just need to make a change. The former superintendent, Dr. Lloyd Verstuff, is still on there. And then we'd like to add myself and
Who?
Jerry.
Who? Okay,
I move that we update the authorized signature page for PNC Bank.
Second.
we have a motion, a second. Questions? Hearing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. We'll get that signature change. Okay, page 130. Consider approval of additional stipends for the 23-24 district compensation plan.
Yes, we presented to the board the stipends that we like to give for the recognitions of the new teachers. So it was in what Dr. Reese's presentation, so we like for the board to approve those. Oh, yes, the principals in residency that we talked about last,
Assistant principal and
Um,
resident principal. and resident.
also under those stipends.
I move.
Thank you.
I second.
We have a motion and a second. The board approved the additional stipends for 23-24 compensation plan. Questions? Hearing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. Okay. Item 9, curriculum and instruction. A, consider approval of 23-24 purchase from Anatomage Incorporated.
Yes, this is also by Dalila. It's a wonderful learning tool. It's a beautiful table that I know that many of you have seen. So we'd like to purchase an additional one. I don't know if the board has any questions on that, but we'd like to purchase an additional one.
I move.
Second.
We have a motion, a second. Questions? Hearing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion passes. Item B, consider approval of ESC Region 20 T-Class Decision 2A.
Yes, and Dalila has this one.
Yes, this is our continuation with our grant, with our T-class. And it is part of like what we just saw with RSSP, and this is just another portion of the grant. When we start to join with Region 20, and we also have a curriculum that we're adopting for pre-K. And it's called a creative curriculum, so we would like for the board to approve the purchase of the professional development that Region 20 will be providing for us for this curriculum.
I move.
I second.
We have a motion, a second. The board approve the service provider contract agreement with ESC Region 20 for the 23-24 academic school year. Questions, anyone? Hearing none. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion passes. Thank you. One more thing before we go into closed session.
Just to remind the board that next Tuesday, we do have our team of 8 training.
Is that gonna be here? Or
Yes,
are
ma'am.
we-
We'll start at 4:30.
We have a hearing that same day. Is that why we're here at 4:30? Okay,
Yeah, we'll start the whole meeting at 4:30. We'll post one agenda.
okay. Okay.
No.
As permitted by sections 551.001-551.146 of the Texas Government Code, we go into closed session at 7:20. Okay, we come back at public meeting at 7:58. We'll start by going back to item 6J, discussion of intruder detection audit report findings.
We don't have to move or anything on that, right? Do what? Oh, okay.
Good evening, board members. TEA has taken over the intruder detection audits that were started last year through the Texas School Safety Center. As part of their safety initiative, they come in and they try to gain access as an intruder detection audit. They also look at vulnerabilities within our campus, if the exterior doors are secure, look at our training protocol, and they also offer recommendations to help strengthen the safety and security within our district. So far, we've had 4 campuses that they've conducted the audits. We discussed the findings in closed session. No action is required for this, other than us discussing the fact that we've had these audits conducted during the past month.
Thank you. Okay, we'll go to item 12. Consider approval of superintendent's recommendations on personnel.
I move that we approve the superintendent's recommendation on personnel.
I second.
Board, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. Do we have any other business?
Yes, I'd like to just again welcome our new Chief of Staff, Mr. Jesse Hernandez, Jesus Hernandez. Thank you for being here with us.
Board, anybody have anything? Hearing none. 8 o'clock, let's go home.